Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association, which represents the largest body of Black entertainment critics in the world. Today, for this episode of AAFCA Roundtables, we are talking with a talented cast member, plus a creator of Star Trek Discovery. We are very proud to welcome Sonequa Martin Green and also Tunde to AAFCA Roundtables today. And for those of you who are fans of the show, I certainly am for more years than I care to share with you, but think Uhura and Captain Kirk. This new edition of Star Trek Discovery airs on Thursdays on CBS All Access. I'm going to start off by introducing the AAFCA members who are here today, starting with Reggie Pounder, the real critic in Chicago. Okay. Carolyn Hines, across the border in Toronto. Aisha Muhammad in Philadelphia. Rhonda Rasha Penrice in Atlanta. Katia Woods in Philadelphia. Brandon Jones in a little town outside of Frankfurt, Germany. KB in Houston. Brandon Collins in Queens, New York. And Janita Davis in Michigan City, Indiana. Let you guys do your thing. I will see you at the end.
Thank you so much for speaking with us, everyone. First thing first, Sonequa, congratulations on the new baby. And so my first question for you, Sonequa, has to do with Michael Burnham's character growth. She's been through a lot in seasons 1 and 2. In season 2, we knew she found her mom after so long, and then she basically jumped into time, and we know it's 931 years. And one of the things about Michael Burnham, she's very strong as a character, but with this separation of time and everything that she knew before, she seems kind of lost. But I wanted to ask about her relationship with two characters in particular, Philippa Georgiou and Tilly. To me, they're the ones who seem to know her instinctively really well. They can look at her in one glance and know that something's up with her. And I think they see her and they read her better than any of the other characters. Even though Saru does know her, I think the two of those women actually read her on like a completely different level to everyone else. I wanted to ask you about her growth and about her relationship with these two women.
Well, hi. It's so amazing to be here. And we are all around the world right now. So that's really cool. And I love this question. I actually agree with you. I think that these women do have this intuitive connection. I love the change that I have been able to have over the course of the show. I appreciate the writing for a lot of reasons, and that's one of them, because I have been able to evolve in such a major way as a character over the course of the seasons. And what you really see, if I were to sort of encapsulate it all, is that you just see me becoming more balanced as a human being. And you see me go from being burdened to being unburdened. There was so much shame, so much guilt, so much overcompensation, so much yearning for approval, so much of that you are seeing me come out of one step at a time. And now, at this point in season 3, you see a Michael Burnham who is as unburdened as ever before, who is as balanced as ever before. And I think the relationships with these two women, you're gonna see how those dynamics change as a result of that. Philippa Georgiou is interesting because there's the mother-daughter connection. No matter what, we actually just simply can't help it. And with Tilly, there's this sense of acceptance because Tilly there was an acceptance of the both of them. And really with all three of these women and with these two relationships, there was acceptance of who these women really were. And I think that that's the foundation of the relationship and why it's so close.
Great, thank you. I can't wait to see what happens, especially with Georgiou. I love Georgiou, and the way she's so short with Michael is like, she's really like a razor. I'm like, I love her.
And Michelle Yeoh is Michelle Yeoh, so.
She got my heart.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Aisha Muhammad, Philadelphia. My question is just for everybody, I guess, all across the board. There are literally generations of Star Trek fans, like my parents were Star Trek fans. How much do you feel a pressure to appease your audience? Or do you guys just do what you do and let the chips fall where they may? Or do you really feel pressure from the almost cult-like following?
Well, I think we feel it. We feel it every day. We're in prep now to shoot, and it's immense. And it was especially harder in the beginning because we didn't quite know, what Discovery was and how to reboot it and what it should look like and smell like and feel like. And so there was an inherent fear, am I doing the justice of my childhood correct, and the childhood of everybody else correct? Now, as we embark on season 4, that pressure is still there, but I feel like we know just a little bit better of who we are. And that makes it just a little bit easier to hit that target. And it's exciting. And it's kind of something that I think we also celebrate, and that we are very excited to get up in the morning to do. This idea that it means so much to so many people is a wonderful thing. And it's especially easier, I think, for those of us who were fans from the get-go to be part of this now, because I remember when I was a kid, and I remember when I saw LeVar, and I remember when I saw Riker, and I always wondered, would I fit in with them, and would they accept me as friends? And I believed that in that Star Trek world that they would. So I think we definitely feel it, and we take it very seriously, and it's the kind of thing that really keeps us going.
And I will just add, to speak about the individual people, that man that just finished talking has done so much for this iteration. And I think I agree, of course, with everything that he was saying about us knowing a little bit more of who we are now at this point going into season 4, but we've also gone beyond any canon. We've truly boldly gone where no one has gone before, into the year 3188. And so everything that we do is establishment. Everything that we're doing is creation, and we succeed in like so much so because of him. And so I'm very grateful for who we have, and especially the people who make the big decisions like Tunde. I'm very grateful because of the passion and the gifts that are coming together as one at this point to give this story justice, like he was saying.
Thank you all so much.
Hi, this is Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic out of Chicago. And today I want to ask you, you talked a little bit about how you take such care with the characters. What do you think that you bring to this show that makes it special? And the reason I ask that is because I do think it's special. I was trying not to watch another show, so thanks a lot, you guys. So I want to know what's your secret sauce. And then, Sonequa, I want to ask you about the emotional energy that you have to bring to this character, because I feel you, girl. I feel you in this, and I would like to hear you guys talk about that.
Yeah, well, for me, I am a producer and a director, and so what I do is I interpret the script that our amazing showrunners write, Alex Kurtzman and Michelle Paradise, and I make it look amazing, and I make sure that you connect with it and feel that amazing in a very emotional way. So, we want to bring cinema to television, and we take that very seriously. And so that's one aspect. The other aspect is to capture these amazing performances in ways that get out of the way, so that they can breathe and so that they can exist. Because literally, if I just put the camera down in a room and did nothing with it, and Sonequa did her thing, you would feel it, because it is so honest, and that as much as a director, I want to get in there and play, and I want to get in there and tell the actor to do this, that, and that. I pretty quickly realized in working with her that wasn't necessary. And her default is always to authenticity, to connection with whoever's on the other side of the screen. And the rest of the actors have taken that lead. We have a wonderful cast, and that part almost takes care of itself. So you've got a wonderful cast, you've got terrific writing, My role, as I see it, is to make sure that that is delivered to you, the audience, in the most spectacular way.
I thank you, Tunde, for that. I think you've got a group of people who understand how important this is. We understand what it means, what we're doing. We understand the strides that we're taking forward with this iteration, and we put our all into it as a result of it without ego, and that's huge. The lack of ego in a creative space. And we are very much a show family, and that's huge as well, because when you feel like you belong and when you feel like one of a whole, then you create more freely. And we have to be in a position where we can create freely, because of how big this is, and because of what it demands of us. And to answer your question, I mean, it is very demanding, but it's exactly what you want as an actor. It's at least what I want as an actor. It's very fulfilling, and I don't use my own life. I only use the story. And so I have to come off the page, and I appreciate what is on the page. The writing is so rich, so I have a lot to play with. I have an imagined world that is very detailed, that I can pull from. And then I also have the heart of everyone that I am privileged and honored to work with. I know I mentioned Michelle Yeoh earlier, but Mary Wiseman very much has to do with that connection that you see with these women and with all the characters. These people are so, their choices are so palpable, and their heart is so tender that we can just dive into the story as it is on the page, and we can dive into each other.
Well, thank you. I like that word tender, because I really I feel that I really do in all of those characters. So thank you, you guys.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, Kathy Woods, also out of Philly, Cup of Soul Show. I am a lifelong Star Trek fan. I can tell you episode 1, who was on there, why they made the changes, all that geeky stuff. One of the things though, even though this is a newer show and you're going into new territories, there are certain things that have to be carried over in every iteration of Star Trek, such as the Prime Directive, the idea of teamwork. No one is above anyone. So how do you do that? How do you have the new stories introduce us to these new wonderful characters? And I love that, Sonequa, that you are leading this, that we are kind of like experiencing these conflicts where you're trying to stay true to Starfleet, but at the same time, still stay true to yourself. So how do you keep the balance between the principles as well as introducing new things?
Well, I'll say this, and then I'd love to hear what you have to say about that, Tunde. But I think there it is, right? As Shakespeare would say, there's the rub, right? Is that Shakespeare, y'all? There's the rub. Maybe not, but but basically that's the question. That's the conflict, is staying true to Starfleet, staying true to the Federation of Planets, staying true to that deep message of hope that is the heartbeat of Star Trek, right? But it's doing that, but then also navigating the fight it takes to do that, and being true to each person in this story has to be true to themselves, but then true to the mission of the whole, which is for a better future. It's sustaining the future that is already better, and then it's bringing that forward. So I think that is where a lot of the stories come from, is that conflict, that battle that we are constantly in, and it's within each character, and then it's also within the whole.
Yeah, and it's it's a great question, because that's the struggle. Yeah. Is if you're especially when you go 930 years in the future, how is it still Trek and not something else, another sci-fi show? And as Sonequa laid out, Star Trek has a particular set of principles, hope, inspiration, that we have to stay true to, and to respect. It's very much the bright side of science fiction in a way. So even though we go through drama and we go through all these things, we got to come out on the inspirational side and believe there is hope out there. And then there's the little details, the technology. There's the things the names you call things like transporting, and phasers, and all of those idiosyncrasies that Star Trek fans understand in that lingo. View screens, put it up on the view screen. Captain's chair. And the captain's chair is a particular thing. We know we have to spend a lot of time designing that and having it be just so. So I think when you merge those ideals with the practical, tactile details, you find a way into making sure that your show stays Star Trek.
Thank you. Love the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, KB here. How are you guys doing?
Hi.
Great. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Thank you so much for chatting. So my question is actually for Sonequa. I love the show. I love Michael's growth. So what does Michael's year of exploration in the future, kind of away from her crew and kind of managing her grief and evolving, what does this kind of unexpected year, along with her friendship with Book, teach her about how to be a better commander and leader over the course of the rest of the season?
Thank you for this question. I love this question, especially because I can finally answer this question, because that was a big plot twist, right? That's revealed at the end of episode 2. And so I haven't been able to talk about it. And when people ask about my journey in season 3, I have to just be like, because so much of it is this year that I spent alone, honestly thinking that I would never reunite with them again. The laws of temporal mechanics said they could come the next day or in 1,000 years, and they didn't come the next day. And so that was it. So then for the first time in my life as Michael, I had to ask myself what I want. Who am I if I don't have an institution's standards to live by? What are my own standards? What are my own desires? What is my role in this new world if I don't have Starfleet? If I'm not a soldier, essentially. So I had to ask myself those questions that I've never asked myself before. And I was very inspired by Book because he is a self-driven man. And he had a big influence on me. He had an impact on me. And so I had to become self-driven as well. And what it ended up doing was showing me that being self-driven can be quite nice. And now do I really want to be in Starfleet? Do I really want to be in the Federation? Now I have to answer that question. Or would I rather be on my own in this new freedom, feeling this new freedom that I never have before?
Well, thank you so much for that answer, just because there's a lightness that hits, Michael, and I'm curious to see how that plays out over the course of the rest of the season. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you. You definitely will see it play out. No stone is left unturned. That's for sure.
How did you and David develop that kind of chemistry? It seems so light and natural. And also, what is it about places like Iceland that are so suited for this genre type of creation?
Thank you for that. I mean, I think that a lot of it has to do with just who David Ajala is as an actor. I think chemistry in general has more to do with who that person is as an actor. It's actually not something that you can manufacture. And I also feel, confession, as an actor, I don't know it's there. I don't know in the middle of it. We have chemistry or we don't. I don't really know. That's something that I can only tell from an objective point of view after the fact. But I very much think it has to do with just how we both approach the story, David and I, and that's wholeheartedly. And I think that's the case with everyone, which is such a blessing, that everyone approaches the story in the true sense of the word, wholeheartedly. So then we are able to sort of be in the nuts and bolts of the story together. And that's, I think, what creates that chemistry. And then as far as Iceland goes, Iceland is just divine on its own, but it very much has to do with the way that it was shot, which is Tunde.
Yeah, well, the chemistry thing was really interesting because, you never know until you get the two actors together in a scene and they do their thing. And It was very apparent to me from the first take when I had Sonequa and David in the same scene that they had that special unquantifiable thing, because I'm able to watch objectively and be able to see, and yeah, it's quite the spark, and it's going to be great to see that play out over the season. Yeah, and as far as Iceland, you know, gorgeous locations are a gift to a director. Iceland is just one of those locations where everywhere you point the camera, there's something amazing. But if the question is, you know, what makes Iceland conducive to or conducive to shooting in a foreign planet, I think it's because we don't see that type of terrain every day. You know, when we walk outside of our homes, or if we go hiking, you know, we see forests and that have green leaves, particularly if you're from Southern California, where I am, where there's no weather. I'm here now in Toronto, and it's fall, and it's still weird to me to see the leaves change colors. But yeah, it just has that, you know, that terrain that is so also brand new to the world, because it's, you know, was created by recent volcanoes, and because of that, because it's not something we normally see, it automatically feels not from here. And the goal is to get together with, you know, your DP. Our DP was Glenn Keenan, who has a wonderful eye, and talk about color palettes and how we're gonna tweak the colors just a little bit, and pushing the locations guys. We had wonderful locations guys in Iceland, and having them show us the stuff that isn't photographed all the time. And why isn't it photographed all the time? Oh, it's hard to get to, or you have to be very specific about where you walk, and going after those places and shooting them. And then on top of that, having actors that are brave enough to shoot under a waterfall, where there's water everywhere, shoot near 3,000-year-old moss that you have to walk very specifically, otherwise you kill this 3,000-year-old moss that doesn't grow back, and so on and so forth. It's a team effort, because sometimes the most gorgeous locations that you want to shoot in or shoot at, you just can't logistically, because there isn't the money or literally the willpower to do it. So it's definitely a team effort.
Well, it was a great way to kick it off, because it's just like with Sonequa and David, it was like watching a play, and the landscape, it was like a bare canvas, you know, in the first episode. And it just got me so excited. It was just so much energy, but it was so minimalist. So bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for being here.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hey, so you guys open on this kind of desolate world and a fractured future that seems to be devoid of hope. And so the question I have for you in 2020 that we live in, how do you relate what's happening into the show, that lack of hope, to kind of what's happening now in our lives in the real world?
Oh, man. Well, I think that there definitely has to be the responsibility of carrying it. And that's something that Michael Burnham and the rest of the crew take very seriously, is carrying that hope into the future, this new future that they've found themselves in, that they chose to be in, that they sacrificed everything to be in. I think that that's obviously what we have to do now, is we have to agree to carry the hope, because I feel that we are able to visualize and actualize more when we come from a place of hope. I think it's very easy and very understandable to sink into despair, and I have done it many times over the course of my life, especially being raised in the South. And then definitely now in 2020, so much has come up for me, and it has been very difficult to process. But I think that without hope, there is nothing but despair and destruction forthcoming. So to me, at least, personally, it is an invitation. Being able to tell this story is an invitation for me to find ways of implementing that kind of hope, especially with me being a woman who believes in God and has very deep faith. Hope is, faith is the substance of things hoped for. So I have to come from that perspective. I must, and it's such a fight to do it. But I have to fight that fight every day. Yeah,
and for me, it was fascinating when we were making this. there was no pandemic. You know, we were in Disneyland, and we sort of knew who the president was, but not to the degree we know now. And so, you exchange pandemic and you put in burn, and oh my God, here we are. You have a catastrophic event, and it disrupts life in totality. And I think the key to that first episode is that final scene with Burnham, Book, and Sahil. And yeah, this idea that the Federation might still be out there, and this hope that Sonequa was talking about. That is the key. There always must be that ray of hope that we can grab onto, that we can see, that we can let hit us when we go outside. And I believe that in my real life too. As bad as things are out there, our country in many ways is a total calamity that is completely inexcusable. But that said, I do believe in its people. I do believe in us. Many of us built this country from the ground up, and we're going to see this through come hell or high water someday. We're not going to give up that hope that things will get better in the short term and in the long term. And I think this particular season of Star Trek accidentally speaks to that in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think one of my favorite things about at least this first episode was that you all were able to balance it really well. So you infused a lot of humor and heart and hope, in addition to that overriding feeling of, this world just isn't right. And so I really enjoyed it. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hello. So I'm a huge fan of what you all are doing with Star Trek. Been a big fan since I was a young kid. I watched Star Trek First Contact. Now, there's been a lot of word about Star Trek 4 with the J.J. Abrams cast and everything, but I'm watching this show and I'm watching this cast, I'm thinking about the writing, and I'm like, why don't you just do a feature film with this crew, right? And so with that, being presented to you, what would be some stories you would like to explore for a feature-length film with this cast?
Ooh. Well,
I'm sorry that was so aggressive. I was just so.
That's a great question. I think, I'd love to see this cast on the big screen, and we talk about it all the time. Like, we talk about, okay, we know the performances are big enough for the big screen. We know that. We know that Sonequa and Michelle and Doug Jones and the rest of the crew, like, they would kill it on the big screen. So the big thing is, are we able to shoot it for the big screen, right? Like, is our production value around them at the level that it needs to be? And, we've got amazing, we've had an amazing production designer go after it this season. And that's the goal, between the production designer, the props guy, the DP, myself, Alex, are we able to build something that would stand up on the big screen if it got projected? And we think so. And as far as the story goes, I've always wanted to, since I was a kid, I've wanted to see Star Trek leave the galaxy. And, we have sort of briefly in the past, but wouldn't it be a wonderful thing to go out and, instead of just talking about the Alpha Quadrant and so on, so like actually look at galaxies on a galactic scale, look at our galactic group that we're in, look at the universe, look at the dead areas in the galaxy, in the universe where there are no galaxies for some mysterious reason. Look at the multiverse and ask the question, like, what else is out there? And is it anything similar to the way we are now, or is it totally different? So that would be my wish if I had that.
That's dope. Ditto. I agree. I think as long as we just continue to see these character-driven stories on the big screen, and then ultimately, the sort of theme of it all, the hope, seeing that hope brought to the big screen is huge. Continuing to see us coming together for the greater good and fighting for change and fighting to sustain change. I think those are always going to be at the heart, right? And as long as that's the case, I'd love to see all the circumstances that might be around it, but I'd love to just continue to see that root on the big screen as well. And, you know, and just continue to be inspired, like Tunde was saying, believing in us. Seeing us do that makes us believe in ourselves more, or at least let's hope it does when you see it. And yeah, I'd love it.
Absolutely. And I would love to see it. And I hope you all will be able to do it one day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question.
Hi, I'm Janita Davis. This has been a great conversation, like so great that I've been just like checking off the questions I wanted to ask you guys. So the only thing I have left on my list is, what can we expect from season 4? Or if you can't answer that question, where would you like Michael to be? Where would you like her to be or do or end up in season 4? Can we go there?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that question. Thank all of you for your questions. I'm loving this. But I just want to continue to find the balance. I know that's what we're all striving for, and I know it's a lifelong goal, right? But for me, it's just about continuing to find the balance between everything that I've been through as a character, and especially volcanism and humanity, especially logic and emotion and instinct, and finding that security deep within. That's what I want. I want that journey to continue, and it is continuing, as you'll see in season 3, and I trust that it will be in season 4 as well. Just that actualization as a person. And the great thing is that you have seen evolution in that way already, and you will continue to see it. And I'm so happy as an actor to have it.
And for me, I just want a happy ending. That's what I would want.
Thank you so much.
Well, this has been terrific. Thank you, Tunde, and thank you, Sonequa. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, thank you for watching another episode of AAFCA Roundtables. Have a great day.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We look forward to continuing to watch you and to celebrate rating the work that both of you are creating. So definitely keep us in your loop.
Will do. It meant a lot to talk to all of you today. So thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, indeed.
Thank
Oh,
you.
we're so proud.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.